Roos was born in July 1274 in Turnberry Castle in Ayrshire, and he became King of Scotland in 1306. He is one of Scotland's most famous warriors, leading Scotland in the Wars of Independence against England. In 1286, the heirs to the Scottish throne died. This left two claimants to the now vacant throne, John Balliol and Robert the Bruce's grandfather. This led Scotland close to a civil war. In order to avoid civil war, Edward I of England was asked to mediate. In 1292, Edward chose John Balliol and he was crowned King of Scots. Soon after, Edward began to interfere in Scotland's affairs and wanting Scotland to help England in their fight with France. Scotland refused and quickly realised they would have to fight England. This was not a decision to be taken lightly, as Edward's army was one of the most formidable in Europe. The Scots signed the Old Alliance in 1295 with France. As France was England's enemy, this effectively declared war on England. England responded by raiding Berwick in the Scottish borders, Edward ordering the deaths of 7,500 people of Berwick. As Edward's army marched north, King John Balliol was forced to surrender and was imprisoned in England. He sent the Stone of Destiny on which Scottish monarchs were crowned to the south of England. However, within a year he had lost control of Scotland. Revolts in Scotland by Sir William Wallace and Sir Andrew Murray gave Scotland victory. As Edward's army was so superior to the Scots beating the English was a remarkable achievement. However, Sir Andrew Murray was mortally wounded in battle, leaving Wallace to become Guardian of Scotland and lead the Scottish army south, raiding northern England. In 1298, Wallace resigned as Guardian, having lost at the Battle of Falkirk. Once Edward had claimed victory, he tried to secure the loyalty of the Scots by handing out public offices. Wallace and his followers did not comply with this. In 1305, Wallace was captured. He was handed over to the English by a Scottish knight who was loyal to Edward. He was taken to Westminster, tried for treason, and he was subjected to a gruesome death. It seemed at this point that Scotland had lost their battle for independence. However, Robert the Roos made an arrangement with Bishop Wishart to start another revolt. Robert the Roos met with the head of the Comyn family in Dumfries in 1306. A fight started between them and Bruce killed Comyn. Shortly after, he was crowned King of Scots at Scone. However, after being defeated at Methven, Bruce fled, and Edward was marching north again. Now King Edward I died in July 1306, leaving his son Edward II to lead England. Bruce made his way back, winning some small battles, before winning the Battle of Loudon Hill. Bruce went on to win some battles against the Comyn family in the north of Scotland, before defeating them in the Battle of Inverurie. While in Cumbernauld in 1310, Bruce wrote to Edward II trying to build a peace agreement, but it was unsuccessful. Nearly all of the Scottish castles that were held by the English had been recaptured by Bruce come 1314. He also started to raid northern England. Stirling Castle was seized by Robert's brother. The governor of the castle agreed to give the castle back to the Scots on the 24th of June if the English had not come to help them. King Edward II heard about the arrangement and planned to siege Stirling Castle, but by this point Edward had nearly 20,000 well-trained men in his large army. In comparison, Bruce only had 6,000 men in his army. Despite this, Bruce planned on stopping King Edward. On June the 23rd, 1314, the battle began, with the English striving to cross Bannockburn to get to Stirling Castle. An English knight, Sir Henry de Bohun, was killed by Bruce. The legend states that he rode out to face Bruce one-on-one, and Bruce knocked him off his horse with one swipe of his sword. The battle continued into the next day. Edward met with the majority of Bruce's army. This seemed to be a surprise, with the English not expecting to battle the Scots here. This is due to Bannockburn's rugged landscape. The English horsemen couldn't compete with the Scottish spearmen. The English army were unable to ever regain control. England's largest army had lost to the small army of Scotland. King Edward was led away from Bannockburn and retreated back to York. In 1320, the Declaration of Arbroath was made. This was Scotland declaring its independence. A letter was sent to the Pope in Latin confirming Scotland as an independent state and allowing Scotland to take military action if attacked unjustly. In 1328, King Edward III signed the Treaty of Edinburgh-Northampton. This recognised Scotland as an independent country and kingdom, and Robert the Bruce as king. From 1325, Bruce was suffering from serious illness. He died on the 7th of June 1329 at his Cardross home. After his death, his heart was taken to Jerusalem before being placed inside Melrose Abbey. His body is buried in Dunfermline Abbey, Scotland.